Alrighty. What we got for snow totals? We got drop them. Drop them in the chat. Drop your snowfall total. Obviously, if you live in Eastern Mass, you don't have one yet, but still. My Western Mass, my Connecticut folks, Rhode Island. I'm about to get going here. So, in terms of snow wise, almost there. So close. And I'll hop off stream as this band starts to go. So we'll go stream for a little bit, and then we'll hop off. Billy got 3 inches. We got half inch in Staten Island. There you go. Nice. All right, so everything's progressing pretty nicely. Pretty nicely. I like how tight our precipitation is. Again, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I've been sucking on dry air for the last hour and a half. It's been pissing me off. I'm not gonna lie. I've just been sucking on it. It's a good sign how reserved everything is. How long it's taking. The fact, supposed to come around, 10:30, 11, and it's coming, right around 11. That's a good sign. In terms of how reserved everything is. I like how tight we are. I like how we filled in pretty quickly right here with this batch. It's good. This band has done wonders for a lot of people. I'm sure I'll get, an inch or two right away out of this thing. I'm pretty cold right now. I don't know what am I temp-wise right now. I think I'm in the mid-20s right now, or, like probably at 25, 27 degrees right now. So when this band moves through, I'll probably pick up an inch or two in the first couple hours. But what's up? It feels weird for me to call someone else Brady always. I don't know why, but it does. Just because my name is that. I don't know if that applies to anybody else. Whenever you have to call someone else by their name that's also your name, it feels a little strange. All right. But we're filling in nicely. Filling in really nicely. I like the extensiveness too. Definitely some dry air going on. This is dry air. But we are filling in. I like the extensiveness. I like our precip shield. Again, I like how consolidated, how tight we are right now with our precipitation. We're doing really, really well with that in terms of on radar. I like what we've had. Again, model runs aren't the end all be all, but I like where we are in terms of with these model runs. And again, I think people are underestimating, New England for tomorrow. In particular, I think Eastern New England. I think there's some opportunity. Someone in here, I'm telling you, someone like in between, like New Hampshire, Southern Maine, Northeastern Mass, someone will get I think they'll get caught in the middle and it won't work out too well for them. But I'm telling you, I think there's some really good potential, for in terms of the coastal enhancement, as we continue to work upper level energy and mid level energy through, and then we're going to back the bit. We're going to be able to pull on some moisture from the ocean, right? And that is really going to allow us to enhance our moisture tomorrow. And we're going to have a really good low level moisture tomorrow. From even in the mid levels, we're going to be pretty good. From 700 down, we're going to have pretty good moisture in the atmosphere. So I really do think, even though temperature will be marginal, I think we could have just enough upper level energy and low level energy that's still to work through that can allow a lot of people. You notice there at 500, that's still a good amount of upper level energy that has to work through, and through to the evening hours too. Right, there could be some breaks here and there, like maybe in the maybe one in the morning, one in the afternoon, throughout a lot of New England. But I do think I do like how the second part of the storm is evolving based on what we had to work on. Now, in regards to New York City, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, This will be the key right here, right? As the low pressure starts to move through, right? Our low pressure, right? Here's big batch of upper level energy right here. We're watching. Um, as our low starting to take off now. Right off the Delmarva, our upper level energy moves through. Now the question is, how far north does this get? How far north does this get, and how amplified do we get as well? The more amplified we are with our upper level low, the more we hold back, the more probably it's going to allow us to head a little bit farther north as well. And then if you get caught under the upper level low, you're going to be able, you might dry slot a little bit, or maybe not dry slot, but mix. Move through, see how it gets, just a little bit. There could be some concerns for mixing for New York City. Now, just to the north of New York City, I think it's going to work out pretty well. I think it really is going to work out pretty well. And slide back here. I take a sounding like northern New Jersey. Snow done here. Depends on where you live, but not a lot of great dendritic growth zone. Not super great lift, but really good low level forcing right here and very well saturated. Looks like the sounding's a little messed up, honestly. It's like it didn't take the full sounding here, so maybe this isn't the best one to take. Take one here in the Hudson Valley. There you go. A little bit better. I don't know about better snow sounding, but at least Red Bank. I'm sorry, I don't know where Red Bank, New Jersey is. Just I could search it up, but I'm not going to. North Jersey, Central Jersey. You might have said Central Jersey, I think, actually. So, Central Jersey's never really been, like the guy I've said from the beginning, it's not really been in the system, in terms in the cards for getting pretty well hit from this system. But here, I do like our low-level forcing. I would look like a little bit more in our dendritic growth zone. We can see here, pretty well saturated in our dendritic growth zone, and we're well saturated. Pretty good moisture all the way down the atmosphere. Not really concerned being 32, 33 at the surface. As you know, New York City, you've been 32 to 33 at the surface the entire storm so far, and you already picked up, 1 to 3 inches across New York City and the burbs. All right, we're pretty well, we're not flirting too much. We're staying, pretty close, probably -3, -4 degrees Celsius right here at around 7 to 850. And then we back off a little bit. We work down to -5, and then we head over to 0 right down at the surface. So we're staying pretty well cold. It's not, it's probably going to be a little bit wetter of a snow than it was the first round, just a little bit wetter, but still, that's pretty good. And then we'll get some really good. Now that's a really good band here in northeastern Connecticut. Or that it's not just going to be northeastern Connecticut. It's this whole band right here. This band is going to have some pretty good dynamics to it as well. And is this the same band? Where do you think the location best overperform? It depends. A lot of people. I got a lot of people telling me I was aggressive with my map. I get that. I get that. I get that to happen. I don't want to say a lot, but I do. It does happen. I don't think I'm not like trying to take victory lap or something. I just like where my snowfall map is right now for areas. I think a pretty widespread. 4 to 8, 6 to 12 for the region is it's kind of what I like. I think the places to get the most snow are I'd say Berks. I think they're Worcester Hills into somewhere in Middlesex County could make out really well. I'd be just surprised if we saw a lot of double digits in those regions, in that part as well. So talking somewhere here, maybe here again, somewhere in this northern Connecticut sector. I watch for some good totals, and then out here in the Hudson Valley, I think there's few areas to watch for, especially with elevation. And then I think it will be, some places with elevation will really make out well in the lower portions of Hudson Valley and in northern New Jersey. I think there are some opportunities for some folks in there that are just back. You go forward. Nope. Ah. Whatever. Yeah, I think there are some opportunities for some places in here to be able to get 6 inches of snow or 6, but like I think there's a good opportunity for a lot of these people to get 5 to 8 inches of snow in here. I really starting to like northern New Jersey. They're gonna be just on the other side of the mixing line, so they're not gonna have to worry to go. Or they're gonna have plenty of good moisture return, being close to the Atlantic as well, and they're gonna combine that with some pretty good lift in the atmosphere. I think they're gonna make out pretty well. How's Southern Maine looking? Southern Maine. I have some concerns at the very tip of Southern Maine. Well, I'll talk about that very briefly at the end, Friday Storm. But I'm going to try to get through this, make this a quick stream so I can go out and see the snow myself. I should have streamed like 15 minutes earlier, but it is what it is. I think somewhere in here I have some concerns to miss out in between banding. But you could have enough coastal enhancement. I really do think that the coastal enhancement aspect of this is being underdone. We have some really good low level moisture to work with. I haven't looked at the models. Manchester. This again. Is this region right? This region right here, I have some concerns about. It could get pretty localized within this region. It could get really localized. So potentially like different parts of towns, getting different more just depending on banding. I think we're going to be able to get some good banding off the coast tomorrow, and we're going to be able to get some pretty good coastal enhancement. The question is, where exactly do those bands set up? And I can't give you the exact answer to that exactly, but I like the 4 to 8 I had. I would say 4 to 8 plus, just with that possibility for if you get into enough bands, you could hit over that total. And then I think once you start getting a little bit further up into Maine, where they're going to have a little bit more leeway to get into that banding tomorrow, I think there's some good opportunity for some folks to get 6 to 12 inches. Bristol County, I think like a 3 to 6, 4 to 8 for Bristol County. I think that's a good bet somewhere in that range. I think a floor of like 2 to 4 is a good bet, and then I'd lean like 3 to 6, 3 to 7. I'm really curious to see how the mixing line plays out. I think that will back up a little bit more than what some models are suggesting, especially like RTM. That rain snow line tomorrow, I think it may not be as potent as being advertised, especially for more amplified. We're going to pull in stronger precip, and also be able to pull back our cold air a little bit farther south and east too. To an extent. Obviously, we move everything a little bit further northwest, but that can be offset, by a heavier precip. So we'll be a little bit warmer at the surface tomorrow for New England, and I'm curious to see how much is left over for New York City to work with. Probably going to mix tomorrow morning, New York City. I said from the beginning, this is probably not going to be an all snow for you. I said from the beginning, I didn't really think New York City was going to work out too well for this system, but here we are. New York City is going to make out with a nice. I mean, actually, I said like 1 to 3 last night, so I'm not going to say I wasn't. I was just hesitant. Well, I was hesitant, and then I started through today. I started buying a little bit more with the idea of where the banding was going to be able to set up and be able to get into some dynamic cooling. I really do like how that aspect is going to work out, especially right. Just had another band that's working over New York City now. Switch back to snow. It will be a little bit wetter in this. So right, this stuff will be a little bit wetter. Be a little bit wetter than the first batch was, but still, that right, you're going to be snowing pretty good clip. And the heavier you are, I can see Chris Bruin right now. It's dumping in New York City. I can see him right now. Winter Wonderland out there. Thoughts on dude? I have not looked at the Canadian. I hopped on. I was looking at anything but the Canadian. was the first thing I'm looking at. I'm trying to figure out pinpoint this banding right now for myself. Yeah, I'm about to get into that band, so I'll probably hop off like 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I see it. It's brewing in Central Park right now. I can't tell where it is, but somewhere where there's grass, and it is. I mean, it's thumping. It is thumping in New York City right now. I mean, my goodness. Whoa. It seems like this band that the Nam was trying to pick up on that's in Hartford right now. Seem to pick up on there being some really good snowfall growth. In this band right here too, where there's one right out here, and another band moving through as well, in Connecticut, and then in between still some pretty good moderate snow. It seems like once the atmosphere gets saturated, it's not too much of a concern for massive subsidence in between. Obviously, you can tell it means probably some pretty good lift in this with the substance we have in behind it. So that's a good sign for for folks that are getting into that band there in Connecticut. And then we move a little bit further south. I mean, we're really getting some really good, really pumping in moisture in New York City. It is thumping right now. See, showing the water vapor in New York City. Yeah, even some thunder snow in PA. It looks like earlier tonight as well. Yeah, New York City, it'll be close. Central Jersey, not looking like you're going to be able to stay snow. Northern Jersey, you look all good though with this one, man. You're looking all good. But this batch right here still has to move through. So people that stay on the right side of the rain snow line are going to be able to continue to cash in on some pretty good snow. And I mean, right, we can see this as it moves through, really starting to take off here. As the primary low starts to move closer to the coast. I mean, just dumping. And you'll probably, when you go in and out of bands, you'll probably, in between bands, you're probably going to lightly rain or, lightly sleet, drizzle, freezing drizzle, whatever. Probably when that happens, because, taking advantage of dynamic cooling under these heavier bands is allowing places like New York City to stay snow. And then in between, you'll probably flip back to a rain or sleet. Pounding in southern greens, awesome. That's what I like to hear. You'll have really good snow ratios too. Really good snow ratios. If you can be just enough saturated, you can be just enough saturated throughout the mid levels and the greens. That will be the key. Low levels will be. I'm not worried at all. But really, anywhere in the low levels of the atmosphere, to be honest, with this storm in terms of moisture, it'll be the mid levels. I'll be a little bit more concerned about in terms of moisture returns. Sound good, Northern New Jersey? Awesome. Oh boy, where'd he go? I think he had like 2 inches like an hour ago. I think he tweeted at me. Ryan. Yeah, I mean, really coming northwest New Jersey in particular, really thumping right now. Oh, come on, we can't update this? Seriously? There we go. There's our update. Yeah, Hudson Valley. Boom, that's banding coming in real nice for Hudson Valley right now too. Right, couple of bands. Right, and then this will start this batch will start to intensify too and move forward as our upper level low up here starts to come and swing through. That will help continue to supply us some good dynamics, and then we'll be able to take in moisture off the Atlantic. Am I worried about dry air cutting totals more east? Not significant, not significantly. No, I think areas you'll be in Virga to start, and then once you get into it, you're gonna make out really well. I think it's widespread at a minimum. The floor for everyone, in Eastern Mass, maybe excluding Cape, southern portions or parts of Cape Cod, everybody's gonna get it. At least 2 to 4. I think almost everybody. And then how much you can cash in on in the morning time too, later in the morning, that will be interesting as well. And then we'll play throughout. We'll probably be in and out of snow for a couple, for a couple periods tomorrow. But I like the moist I like the low level moisture we're working with tomorrow. I like the fact how much energy, how much vorticity still have to work, and how much has to work through mid level and upper level energy that still has to work through. Um, and those things are valuable. I think when we looking at storms, longer duration storms where we're backing the flow off the Atlantic. I think that's important. You got to consider it. Like people are going to be snowing, regardless of it not being a heavy snow. It's going to be a moderate, to heavy moderate snow for a lot of people. But in and out of those bands for kind of how many hours? After 7, right? Like 7 a.m. to like 10 p.m. That's a long time. That's like 12. That's like 12 to 15 hours of being in and out of moderate snow bands, and you just start to add those total up. Even though temperatures at the surface will be lighter, think about it. Even if you just add up a quarter inch per hour, which is like typically a light snow, but it's like those are like um, moderate, very like wet, like a quarter inch per hour. If you add that up over 12 hours, I mean, what's that? That's about almost 4 inches of snow right there. So you combine that with the 2 to 4 you had maybe overnight. That's your path to getting like 5 to 8 inches of snow. So I mean, you gotta think about it like how you stack up snow over time. It's like a numbers game. See, that's how I like to play things. A lot of time is I like to see how long are we snowing, how long are we really snowing. That's what matters more to me. How much is we're going to be able to get really good accumulating snow. That's why I look at soundings to see how long. Like all those little details that I look at. The ones that are minuscule, but are but for me that are become important. Because if I think about it, I'm going to be the one that's looking at the sounding here on this last edge of the band and be like, oh, we're not really great mid level booster, which sucks. But on the other hand, you'll see that's some pretty good mid-level dynamics still to work through. Some pretty good mid-level dynamics to work through. So just a little bit more mid-level moisture, and we're talking about a pretty decent band that's working through tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. Which was stronger on some of those earlier runs today, I think. Yeah, you can see it was stronger. So just a little bit stronger, and maybe that we get a pretty good band that work through at the end tomorrow. Then that's maybe another inch or someone. Like it's just small little things. I mean, get it. That stuff can be pretty localized, and it doesn't matter because I only hear from the people that follow me. And the people that follow me live in one location, and a lot of people don't even measure snow a lot of times, so it's hard to get exact confirmation. But code in there yet? I'm sure we got a code in, but I haven't checked. I'll be hopping off stream in a minute, probably like 5 minutes. I'll pop off. But we'll take a look immediately in that, and we kind of talked about we broke down radar, so a pretty decent idea for what's going on right now. Zoom out a little bit. Again, I like how consolidated we're keeping. I like how consolidated our moisture is off the coast. You can kind of see our surface low kind of popping. You get a snowboard. You clear the board every 6 to 12 hours, and then you add up your total. Ideally, you can get multiple measurements in different areas, but just get a snowboard, clear it. You can look up National Weather Service how to measure snow if you're very curious. You can see our low pressure over here too, our upper level low, which is swinging down. It's kind of visible on radar. That band kind of died down, didn't it? As it's moving through my area. It is what it is. Go off with the ski mount says, yeah, they probably do pretty official measurements there. Here's this portion I'll be curious to see, right? This will probably be one of those lulls I was talking about in the morning. I'll be curious how we fill back in. This second part will define a lot of people's snowfall totals in southern New England. This will really define the difference between you maybe getting 4 to 6 inches and getting maybe like 8 to 10, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Very curious to see how this fills in. Don't want to put too much stake in long range HRR. HRR says in New York City is really going to flirt with that sleet line tonight. We'll see. I would lean snow over sleet if you're in heavy precip though. Maybe like a 3/4 snow sleet mix. All right, let's check in on checking out on this one, and then we'll hop off here. Put down, actually, while we're doing this, put down your snowfall totals if you haven't already, for what you got so far, or any questions you guys got as well. Put them down in the chat. Where did I take a sound from? I took it from a weird spot, man. I forget where typically this one is. So again, we're watching this again. How much we press down will define, how much we press on our system. That will define how far south we stay a lot, and also how reserved our energy, how strong our upper level low is, where exactly it comes across. That will do. It's a really amplified Pacific here. This is a storm. Yes, it does. We talked about it on streams the last 2 nights. 2.4. There you go. And that's not going to cut it. It's better, but still some work to do. I don't like. We have a decent high pressure in place. I don't like the angle of our confluence though on this GFS. See, I'm not putting a lot of stock in the Canadian. I hold some weight to it, but I don't. For me, it's not the end all be all. I see how close the Canadian is to the Euro and the GFS, and sometimes it works as a middle ground, but not like the GFS is anything special. But this is what you want though from the GFS. We have good high pressure in place. I would just prefer the angle of our confluence to be a little bit more horizontal and a little bit farther south. That's just me. But really cold air cuts down and really really prevents the system from going further north. We do lock in our high pretty nicely, which is nice. I would you see how the high gets kicked out as the storm moves in because the angle of confluence. I prefer, in order to get our high to stick around, you see how our highest, the angle of our high pressure. I prefer these isobars to be more rounded, and that's just the angle of the confluence on this run. We'll see the euro. Euros, I liked a lot of these euro runs. I won't deny that, but it's really not what I like. It's trying to figure out what's most realistic. It's difficult. Reason I like the Canadian better. Look at the angle of the confluence, and we also press it down more, a little bit more horizontal with the angle, not that much, and we press down a little bit first, high pressure. Notice our height lines a little bit more horizontal as well, allowing our high pressure to sit down a little bit. It looks like we're starting to fit. These runs the past few days have been just model noise to me because they've been trying to figure out what exactly the setup is, what are the pieces on the table. So when models are still trying to figure out what the pieces on the table are, I don't pay too close attention to every single run shift. And even then, when you get closer, you don't put a ton of weight in every run shift as well, just because I can't. If I do that, then I lose. It's not about losing credibility, but I lose who I am, or I'm supposed to be as a forecaster. So I like what we have here. This ain't bad. What was I going to compare? I was comparing to the GFS, the headlines. That was the angle. Look at the angle of the headlines right here. So and then compare that to the Canadian. They're able to get the high pressure, sit down a little bit further south. Headlines are a little bit less amplified. And then you get the upper level low. Kind of starts to dissipate. So probably if I saw this, I would lean. I would lean there for heaviest axis, maybe a little bit for heaviest axis of snowfall here on this kind of run. We'll see what, just based on the upper level energy. I was trying to do that all day today, not all day, but for like a minute. Just trying to figure that out. And yeah, that's basically kind of where it is, a little bit further north. It's a little bit more confined, which would make sense actually. And you know what I would like about this setup too is this would be some really cold air. I don't want to say December 17th, 2020. It would. I don't know if it would be quite like that. Definitely, or be I can't just say I can't use that storm as my main. But it's the and the cold air is just not the same. I mean, it just we're not unless we continue to get this high pressure even further south, then we would. But it's just not the same cold air. But the cold air up here is pretty similar. We have a pretty strong high. Don't even get me started on sun angle. Sun angle matters. Sun angle has literally no impact when it snows on night, which should be obvious. The sun isn't freaking up at night, and also sun angle really doesn't make that big of a difference if you're heavy snowing on grass. Even moderate snow on grass or a snowboard or a lightly colored car. It makes no difference for where you measure snow. Nobody measures snow on the pavement. Or some people do, but that's according to the National Weather Service, that's not how you're supposed to measure snow. Again, snow measuring is subjective, but it is what it is. What I like about the snow is it's the clash of warm air. Notice how much warm air we're pulling up here to meet that cold air. So you can get some really big time heavy snow bands. And even then, heavy snow accumulates on the roads. So it doesn't matter what kind of sun angle you have. You get heavy snow, you're going to accumulate on the roads. Now, tomorrow, where you have a lot of moderate snow in New England, it will probably accumulate a little less on the roads. Yeah, it just will. I mean, regardless, even if it was January, that's just 32 degrees and you're moderately, 32, 34 degrees, moderately snowing on the pavement during the day. Yeah, of course, it's not going to stick as much as it would on grass. It's kind of self-explanatory, though. Oh, yeah, I mean, there's not too much to get really worked up over with the Canadian. band, but I'm really more curious. I like that next band that's coming through after. I'll take a look. Pop off here pretty soon. And what did we have? It's like we're a little bit more reserved here at the 18s a euro, but the euros too. It's a in between of the Canadian, I would say, in the GFS. It's a pretty good in between. The 12s a euro was. I said, will someone say JMA? Oh, we don't even go out. We don't even go out past 72 friggin' hours with the JMA. We only have 12Z. That was the Japanese model. I don't know what the J stands for. I don't even remember. Doesn't matter. Not a model I concern myself. There you go. Let's look at the icon. There you go. Whee! There's that crappy model, man. Yep. Actually, I'm a little curious to see how what zero. Yeah, I like the angle, the confluence so much more on the Euro than I do on the GFS, at which our high pressure works. I just so much better. We're gonna not only just press this down more, but also just the angle. Press it down a little more. Now, one thing I'm curious about these little features. This trough in behind it, this will definitely play a factor. If this tries to work into a stream interaction, I'd be curious. So this piece is definitely something to watch over the upcoming days, and will definitely be impacted by how amplified our high pressure is, or how amplified our high lines are. You know, where exactly our high pressure setup. This is definitely something to watch. Like this is, I don't know where exactly the GFS setup. It's heavy snow. It's definitely well interior. Yeah, definitely well interior. Is what it is. You know, transfer low system right here because you get the high pressure. You know, Canadian transfer system. So it wasn't looking like a transfer system on models a couple of days ago, but then models were ironing out. So it looks like the pieces on the table are becoming a bit more clear what exactly we're working with. And I like these setups with again, we'll see how strong our Southeast Ridge is. Definitely said hello again on models. Southeast Ridge making much more amplification than it was previous runs. Models continuing to struggle with that. It looks like just about expected, but it works out pretty well with the way our highest setup looks like. We could make out potentially. We'll see how we work out, but and in between of all the models we have right now, will work out pretty good. The location, the high, just like this one, we're getting a little bit not lucky, but kind of lucky with how the high pressure is shaping up. Southeast Ridge, you get that warm air to meet that Arctic cold air. You can get some pretty big time snow bands. You can get a big snowstorm. Alrighty. I'm gonna hop off now. We will probably stream again tomorrow night. Probably tomorrow night again. And until then, I'll be on Twitter. I'll be active. Don't worry. I'll probably be up a lot of the night, maybe all night. We'll see. And otherwise, you got questions, at me, DM me, whatever. Do what you got to do. YouTube, thank you for everybody that likes the stream. I got to make sure I mention that every stream to make sure I know you guys support me and I appreciate it. So we'll continue to stay updated on the upcoming, this storm and the one after that. Awesome. We'll go full in Wednesday. Full in. Probably talk about it a little bit more tomorrow night because the storm will be done. But we'll go full in. Later tomorrow night, Wednesday for that one. All right.